3 weeks after the cooking lesson, Captain Yuna received an unusual transmission. It was from the Galactic Coalition headquarters. They wanted to know why the Vorath fleet was behaving strangely. Define strangely, Yuna said to the Coalition representative on the screen. Reports indicate that Vorath ships are no longer maintaining standard military protocols. They are sharing food between vessels. They are having what appear to be social gatherings. Multiple ships have reported Vorath crew members openly expressing emotions. This is unprecedented. Yuna tried not to smile. Perhaps they are becoming more social. Captain, the Vorath do not do social. We need to understand what has changed. Is this a security concern? No, they are just learning a new skill, cooking. The representative blinked. Cooking? Yes, my chef taught them. It is a long story. After the call ended, Do-Yun came to her office. Captain, we are getting messages from other species now. Everyone wants to know what the humans did to the Vorath. Some of them are worried. Some are curious. And we just got a request from the Trellin ambassador. They want Chef Teeman to visit their homeworld. For what purpose? To teach them about comfort food. Yuna leaned back in her chair. This is getting out of control. But it was already too late to stop what had begun. The story of the soup had spread throughout the galaxy. Not just among the Vorath, but to every species in the Coalition. Everyone wanted to know about this strange human concept of comfort food. Taem and was in the kitchen when Nari found him. She was excited, her eyes bright. You need to see this, she said, pulling up a data pad. I have been monitoring the cultural exchanges between species. Look at what is happening. The screen showed reports from across the galaxy. Vorath families were gathering for meals instead of eating from nutrient dispensers alone. Cubs were being taught to cook by their parents. Ships that used to maintain cold military efficiency now had communal eating areas where crews shared food. It is not just the Vorath, Nari continued. Other species are noticing. The Trellins are a species that values logic above all else. But they saw what happened with the Vorath, and now they are asking questions about emotional health. The Koran, who live mostly isolated lives, are starting to create community meals. All because of soup? Teeman asked. All because you showed them that caring for each other is important. That taking time to make someone feel valued is worth doing. Humans have always known this, but we forgot that other species never learned it. Minho came in carrying a message pad. Captain wants to see you. Something about a request from Ambassador Krell. When Teeman reached the captain's office, he found Yuna, Ambassador Krell, and young Pip waiting. Pip ran to hug Teeman immediately. Mr. Teeman. Guess what? What? Father made me soup when I was sad yesterday. He made it himself. Teeman looked at Krell, surprised. The ambassador's scales showed a color that might have been embarrassment or pride. It was hard to tell. It was not as good as yours, Krell admitted. But Pip ate it. Because Father made it for me, Pip added. That made it special. Ambassador Krell has a proposal, Yuna said. Krell stood formally. Chef Teeman. The Vorath Council has voted to establish a new cultural exchange program. We want to invite human teachers to our worlds. Not just to teach cooking, but to teach the philosophy behind it. The idea that showing care is not weakness. That emotional health is as important as physical strength. That is a big change for your people, Teeman said. Yes, it will be difficult. Many Vorath are resistant to this new way of thinking. But the cubs love it. And the warriors who have learned find themselves happier, even if they struggle to admit it. Grand Admiral Vex has made it mandatory for all commanders to learn basic comfort food preparation. He calls it essential leadership training. Pip tugged on Teeman's sleeve. Will you come teach more Vorath, please? I'm just a chef, Pip. There are probably better teachers. No, Krell said firmly. You are the right teacher because you understand something fundamental. You know that food is more than nutrition, that a meal made with care can heal more than just the body. This is what we need to learn. Before Teeman could respond, Sola's voice came through the communication system. Captain, we are receiving a transmission from the Coalition Cultural Council. They are requesting a formal meeting. The meeting happened the next day. Representatives from 12 different species appeared on the screen. They all wanted the same thing. They wanted to learn about human comfort food. They wanted to understand how something so simple could create such change. A Trellan representative spoke first. We have observed the Vorath transformation with great interest. Our species values efficiency and logic, but we have also noticed that our mental health statistics are poor. Perhaps we have been missing something. A Koran representative added, "My people spend most of their lives in individual work pods. We believe this was optimal for productivity. But seeing the Vorath gathering for communal meals has made us question this assumption." One by one, they shared similar stories. Every species had optimized something: efficiency, logic, independence, strength, but in doing so, they had lost something important: connection, care, the simple act of showing someone they mattered. "Humans have always had this," one representative said. "Why did you never share it with us before?" Captain Yuna answered, "We did not realize you needed it. We thought every species had their own version of comfort food. We did not understand that this was unique to human culture." "It should not be unique," another representative said. "This is too valuable to keep to one species." They spent hours discussing possibilities: cultural exchange programs, teaching resources, ways to adapt the concept of comfort, food to different species and their needs. Timon listened to it all with a growing sense of wonder. He had just wanted to help a sick cub feel better. Now he had apparently started a galactic cultural revolution. "This is overwhelming," he said to Nari later. "I am just one person. I cannot teach the entire galaxy how to cook." "You do not have to," Nari said. "You just have to start. Teach some teachers. They will teach others. The knowledge will spread. That is how cultural change works." Over the next month, Timon did exactly that. He held classes on the Harmony's Dawn. Representatives from different species attended. He taught them recipes, but more importantly, he taught them the philosophy. How to think about the person you are cooking for. How to put care into the preparation. How to use food as a way of showing love. The classes were strange and wonderful. A Trellan who had never considered emotions learned to make tea that could soothe anxiety. A Koran learned to prepare a warm grain dish that made people feel less alone. A Vorath warrior learned to make comfort food for his entire unit. They all struggled at first. Caring openly did not come naturally to species that had spent centuries valuing other things. But slowly they learned. And as they learned, they changed. Word came back from the Vorath homeworld. Cubs who had been struggling in the rigid military schools were doing better. The schools had started teaching basic cooking alongside combat training. Warriors were reporting lower stress levels. Families were gathering for meals instead of eating separately. "You started something beautiful," Captain Yuna told Timon one evening. "You showed the galaxy that strength is not just about power or logic or efficiency. Real strength includes the courage to care for each other." Ambassador Krell sent regular updates. His relationship with Pip had changed. They cooked together now. They talked about feelings. Krell admitted that he was learning to be a better father. Grand Admiral Vex reported that his fleet had the highest morale ratings in Vorath history. Fewer stress-related illnesses. Better cooperation between units. He attributed it all to the simple act of teaching warriors to care for each other. But the most touching message came from the young officer whose father was ill. He wrote to Timon personally. "My father passed away yesterday. But before he died, we had 3 months together that were different from our entire previous relationship. I made him soup every visit. We talked while I cooked. He told me stories I had never heard. He said he was proud of me. On his last day, he asked for one more bowl of my soup. He said he could taste the love in it. Thank you for teaching me how to show my father that I cared. I only wish I had known how to do it sooner." Timon read the message 3 times. Then he cried. Minho found him in the kitchen, wiping his eyes. "You okay?" "Yeah, I never thought soup could matter this much. It is not the soup, Minho said. It is what the soup represents. You gave them permission to care about each other, to be vulnerable, to show love. That is what matters. Tiemann looked around his kitchen. It was just a room with equipment and ingredients. But somehow, from this small space, something had spread across the entire galaxy. Not a recipe, not a technique, but an idea. The idea that taking time to care for someone, to show them they matter, to offer comfort in simple ways, was not just acceptable but necessary. He went back to work, preparing the evening meal. As he chopped vegetables and stirred pots, he thought about all the beings across the galaxy who were doing the same thing right now. Former warriors learning to be gentle, logical beings learning to feel, isolated individuals learning to connect, all because someone made soup for a sick cub, and somehow that had been enough to start changing the galaxy. Grand Admiral Vex's flagship appeared on the sensors like a mountain floating in space. It was 3 times the size of Harmony's Dawn. Behind it came 12 more warships, all bristling with weapons and shields. Hyan-Wu, the security chief, watched the displays with growing alarm. This is a full battle group. Captain, we should call for coalition support. Captain Yuna shook her head. No, that will make this a military incident. Right now it is just a very dramatic medical consultation. A medical consultation that looks like an invasion, Doyan muttered and stood in the back of the bridge, feeling useless. All of this was because of soup. It seemed impossible. The communication came through. Grand Admiral Vex's face filled the main screen. He was enormous, even for a Vorath. His scales were dark gray, almost black. Scars covered his face and neck. His eyes were the color of old ice. I am Grand Admiral Vex. I request permission to board your vessel. Yuna kept her voice steady. Permission granted, Admiral. May I ask the purpose of your visit? I must personally investigate the medical protocols you have been distributing to Vorath personnel. This matter requires my direct attention. Of course, we will prepare to receive you. After the transmission ended, Hyunwoo turned to Yuna. Captain, this is not normal. Admirals do not personally investigate medical supplies. I know, he brought his entire battle fleet. I know, for soup. Yuna looked at Tiemann. Apparently very good soup. They prepared the main conference room. Hyunwoo wanted to have guards present. Yuna allowed 2, but told them to stand at the back and look relaxed. This needed to feel like a meeting, not a confrontation. Grand Admiral Vex arrived with 4 officers. They wore full ceremonial armor. Vex himself had to duck through the doorways. When he entered the conference room, he seemed to fill the entire space. Captain Yuna, I am here to discuss your medical distribution program. Of course, Admiral. This is Chef Tiemann. He created the soup. Vex turned his massive head to look at Tiemann. You are the healer. I am just a cook, Admiral. You have treated over 100 Vorath personnel in the past 2 weeks. I made them soup. It is not treatment. It is just food. Food does not cure illness. The soup does not cure illness either. It just provides comfort while the body heals itself. Vex stared at him. Explain comfort. Before Tiemann could answer, the conference room door opened. Ambassador Krell entered with Pip. The young Vorath ran straight to Tiemann. Mr. Tiemann? Father said you were meeting with the Grand Admiral. Pip, you should not interrupt, Krell said, but there was no real anger in his voice. Vex looked at the cub. Ambassador Krell, I did not expect to see you here. My ship is scheduled to depart tomorrow. But Pip wanted to say goodbye to Chef Tiemann. Pip bounced on his feet. Are you here for Mr. Tiemann's magic soup, too? The conference room went completely silent. Vex's scales changed color slightly. His officers shifted uncomfortably. Captain Yuna pressed her lips together to hide a smile. Magic soup? Vex repeated slowly. That is what the warriors call it, Pip said innocently. When they think no one is listening, they say it is magic because it makes them feel better in a way medicine does not. Pip, Krell said quietly. Perhaps we should leave the Admiral to his meeting. But the damage was done. Vex looked at Krell, then at Tiemann, then at Captain Yuna. His expression was unreadable. I see, he said finally. Perhaps we should speak more directly. Yuna nodded. I think that would be best. Vex dismissed his officers. Only he and Krell remained with the humans. Pip sat on his father's lap, watching everything with bright eyes. I will not waste more time, Vex said. I came here because I may have been experiencing certain symptoms. What symptoms? Hana asked gently. Stress, fatigue, difficulty resting. He paused. My officers report that your soup helps with these conditions. It might provide some comfort, Tiemann said. But Admiral, can I ask you something? Yes. Why did you bring your entire fleet? Why did all these warriors pretend to be sick? Why not just ask for soup? Vex was quiet for a long moment. When he spoke, his voice was lower. Because we do not know how to ask for kindness. Vorath culture is built on strength. We show no weakness. We admit no needs beyond duty and honor. For thousands of years this has made us powerful, but it has made you lonely, Tiemann finished. Yes, the word seemed painful for Vex to say. When Ambassador Krell reported what happened with his offspring, the description was unusual. He wrote about feeling grateful. About his cub sleeping peacefully for the first time in weeks. About someone caring enough to make something warm. These concepts are foreign to us. Krell spoke up. When Pip was sick, I realized something. I had no idea how to comfort him. I could provide medicine and proper nutrition and a safe place to recover. But I could not provide what you call comfort. I did not even know such a thing existed. The report spread through our military networks, Vex continued. Warriors began discussing it privately. Many of them have offspring who struggle with stress or fear or sadness. Vorath medicine addresses physical needs, but it does not address emotional needs. We did not even have words for emotional needs until recently. So they invented symptoms, Yuna said. Because they did not know how else to get help. Yes, they pretended to be sick because admitting they wanted comfort would be seen as weakness. But if they claimed medical necessity, they could receive your soup without admitting what they truly needed. Pip looked up at his father. Why is wanting comfort a weakness, father? Krell had no answer. Tiemann felt his heart break a little. An entire civilization of people who had never been taught that it was okay to need kindness. Warriors who faked illness because they could not say, I need someone to care about me. Admiral, Tiemann said carefully, the soup is not actually magic. It is just food made with care. Any person can make it. The power is not in the ingredients. The power is in the act of making it for someone you care about. I do not understand. Let me show you. Tiemann stood. Would you come to the kitchen with me? Vex looked surprised but nodded. They all walked to the kitchen. Tiemann began pulling out ingredients. This is how you start, he explained. First, you think about who you are making it for. Not just any person, a specific person. Your cub or your mate or your friend. You think about how they are feeling. You think about what they need. He began cutting vegetables slowly, showing each step. You take your time. You do not rush. Each cut is done with attention. Each ingredient is chosen carefully. You are not just preparing nutrition. You are preparing care? Vex watched intently. This seems inefficient. It is not about efficiency. It is about intention. What is intention? Purpose, meaning you do this because you want to help someone feel better. That desire, that caring, somehow gets into the food. The person eating it can feel that they matter to you. Pip climbed down from Krell's arms and came to watch. Can I help? Of course. Tiemann gave him a wooden spoon. You can stir, gently. Think about someone you care about while you do it. Pip stirred the pot carefully. His small face was serious with concentration. Vex watched his grandson's offspring with an expression that might have been wonder. For thousands of years, we have believed that showing emotion makes us weak. That caring openly is dangerous. We have raised generations of Vorath to be strong and independent and unmoved by feelings. And yet they are suffering, Krell finished. I see it in my own cub when he thinks no one is watching. I see it in my warriors when they believe they are alone. We have strength, but we do not have this. He gestured to Pip, stirring the soup with such care. Teeman ladled out a small bowl and gave it to Pip. Try it. Pip tasted it and smiled. It is good. Do you know why? Because I made it? Because you made it with care. That is the magic. Not the ingredients. The care. Grand Admiral Vex stood in the human kitchen watching a small cub smile over a bowl of soup, and something in his ancient eyes shifted. We have been doing everything wrong. Not wrong, Teeman said gently. Just incomplete. Strength is important, but so is kindness. You can have both. Vex looked at Captain Yuna. I came here to demand your soup from my fleet. But that is not what we need, is it? No, Yuna said. What you need is to learn how to care for each other. The soup is just one way to do that. Will you teach us? Vex asked. Teeman was surprised. Teach you? Yes, I want my officers to learn this. I want them to take this knowledge back to their ships, to their families. I want Vorath cubs to grow up knowing that being cared for is not weakness. That showing care is not shameful. He paused. Will you help us? Teeman looked at Captain Yuna. She smiled and nodded. Yes, Teeman said. I will teach you. The cooking class took place in the largest cargo bay on Grand Admiral Vex's flagship. They had to use the cargo bay because 30 Vorath officers wanted to attend. Teeman had never taught cooking to so many people at once. Especially not to warriors in full armor. Captain Yuna came along with Hannah and Minho. Nari, a human cultural anthropologist who had recently joined their crew, insisted on attending. This is historic, she kept saying. The Vorath learning to cook. No one will believe this happened. The cargo bay had been transformed. Long tables were set up with cooking equipment. Each station had a cutting board, knives, pots, and ingredients. The Vorath officers stood at attention behind their stations like they were preparing for battle instead of making soup. Grand Admiral Vex stood at the front. Officers, today you will learn a new skill. Chef Teeman will teach you the preparation of comfort food. You will pay attention. You will learn. You will take this knowledge back to your ships and your families. This is not a request. This is an order. Yes, Admiral. They all responded in unison. Teeman felt nervous. He was just a chef. He had cooked for wealthy people and diplomats, but he had never given orders to military officers. Okay, he started. So first thing, please take off your armor. The officers looked confused. You cannot cook properly in battle armor, Teeman explained. You need to move freely. You need to feel comfortable. They looked at Vex. He nodded. Slowly, they began removing their armor. Without it, they looked smaller, more vulnerable. Some of them seemed uncomfortable being so exposed. Good, Teeman said. Now, cooking is not like combat. There is no enemy to defeat. There is just food that needs to become a meal. The goal is not victory. The goal is to create something that helps someone you care about. One officer raised his hand. What if we do not care about anyone? Then think of someone you respect. Someone you want to help? Maybe another officer. Maybe your commander. Maybe someone back home? The officer thought about this and nodded. Today we are making soup, Teeman continued. But first, I want you to understand something important. The recipe is not the magic. The ingredients are not the magic. The magic is in why you make it and how you make it. That does not make sense, another officer said. Magic is not real. There must be a scientific explanation. You are right, Teeman agreed. The scientific explanation is that when you prepare food with care and attention, when you think about the person who will eat it, somehow that care becomes part of the food. The person eating it can feel that they matter. That feeling is what helps them heal. Nari stepped forward. In human psychology, we call this the therapeutic value of being cared for. When someone is sick or struggling, knowing that another person took time to help them can improve their mental state. Better mental state often leads to better physical recovery. So it is psychological manipulation, an officer said. No, Tiemann said firmly. It is genuine care. That is the difference. You cannot fake this. If you make the soup just to manipulate someone, it will not work the same way. You have to actually care. The officers looked uncertain. Caring was not part of their training. Let me show you, Tiemann said. First, we prepare the vegetables. He demonstrated how to cut the vegetables properly. The Vorath watched with intense focus. When he told them to try, they attacked the vegetables with military precision. Wait. Tiemann called out. You are cutting too fast. Slow down. Why? Faster is more efficient. Because this is not about efficiency. This is about taking time. When you slow down, you think about what you are doing. You think about who you are doing it for. Try again, but this time, think about one specific person as you cut. They tried again, slower this time. Tiemann walked between the stations, watching and helping Dot at one station. A female officer named Rena was cutting very carefully. I am thinking of my daughter, she said quietly. She is training at the academy. She writes to me that she is doing well, but I can tell from her words that she is struggling. She is afraid to admit weakness. Does that worry you? Tiemann asked. Yes, but I do not know how to help her. If I tell her weakness is acceptable, I undermine her training. If I tell her to be stronger, I make her feel alone. When you give her the soup, you do not need to say anything. The soup will say it for you. It will tell her that her mother cares about her struggles, that she is not alone. Rena's scales changed color slightly. I understand now. At another station, a young officer was having trouble. His cuts were uneven and his movements were stiff. What are you thinking about? Tiemann asked him. I am trying to remember the exact measurements you gave. Forget the measurements for a moment. Who are you making this for? My father. He is ill. He has been ill for many months. Vorath medicine keeps him alive, but he does not seem to improve. Tell me about him. He was a great warrior. Now he lies in a medical facility, weak and tired. I visit him every week, but I do not know what to say. We never learned how to talk about feelings. Then let the soup talk for you. Put your feelings into the cooking. Think about how much you wish he would get better. Think about your memories of when he was strong. Think about how much you want to help him. The officer's hands steadied. His movements became more purposeful. Like this? Exactly like that. Commander Vex, the officer Tiemann had met before, was working quietly at his station. When Tiemann came over, Vex looked up. I am making this for my crew, he said. They work hard. They follow orders without question. But I never ask them how they are feeling. I never show them that I notice their struggles. This is a good start, Tiemann said. They moved on to combining ingredients. Tiemann showed them how to add the broth, how to adjust the heat, how to test the seasoning. You must taste it as you go, he instructed. The recipe is just a guide. Every batch is different. You have to pay attention and adjust. What if we do not know what it should taste like? Rena asked. You will know. Trust your instincts. If something feels wrong, fix it. If something feels right, keep going. Cooking is part science and part intuition. The cargo bay filled with the smell of soup. 30 pots simmered at once. The Vorath officers tasted and adjusted. Some added more herbs. Others added less salt. They were learning. Now comes the hardest part, Tiemann said. The waiting. You must let it simmer. You cannot rush it. This takes patience. How long? Someone asked. Until it feels ready. Until the flavors combine properly. Usually 20 to 30 minutes? That is too long. We should increase the heat. No, if you rush it, you ruin it. Patience is part of the process. Good food takes time. They waited. At first, the officers stood rigid and uncomfortable. Waiting was not something they did well, but gradually they began to relax. Some talked quietly to each other. Others simply watched their pots, thinking. Minho leaned over to Tiemann. This is the weirdest thing I have ever seen. 30 Vorath warriors making soup. It is beautiful, Nari said. She was recording everything. They are learning to be vulnerable, to show care. This will change their entire culture. Finally, the soup was ready. Teeman had them pour samples into bowls. Each officer tasted their own creation. The silence was profound. It is different from yours, Rena said finally. But it is good. It is different because you made it, Teeman explained. Your care went into it. Your love for your daughter. That is what makes it special. The young officer whose father was ill had tears in his eyes. Vorath could cry, Teeman realized. They just never allowed themselves to. I can feel it, the young officer said. I can feel the care in this. My father will feel it too? Grand Admiral Vex tasted his own soup. He stood very still for a moment. Then he looked at Teeman. We have been wrong about so many things. For so long we believed that emotion was weakness. But this is not weakness. This is strength of a different kind. Yes, Teeman said. Caring about others takes great courage. Being vulnerable takes strength. Showing love is not easy. Vex addressed his officers. You will take this knowledge back to your ships. You will teach your crew. You will make this soup for your families, your friends, anyone who needs comfort. This is now part of your duty as Vorath officers. To care for those under your command not just through discipline and training, but through genuine care. Yes, Admiral. They spent the rest of the day practicing. By evening, every officer could make a decent soup. More importantly, they understood why they were making it. As Teeman prepared to leave, Rena approached him. Chef Teeman. Thank you. You have given us something precious. A way to show love that we never had before. The ability was always in you, Teeman said. I just showed you how to use it. That night, on ships throughout the Vorath fleet, officers made soup for their crews. Commanders made it for their subordinates. Parents made it for their children. And for the first time in Vorath history, warriors openly showed care for each other. The galaxy would never be quite the same. 3 days passed quietly after Pip's recovery. Teeman returned to his normal duties in the kitchen. He made meals for the crew and their guests. Everything seemed back to normal. Then Captain Yuna called an emergency meeting. Teeman arrived at the conference room with other senior staff. Hannah was there, looking confused. Doyan, the second officer, seemed annoyed. Sola, the communications officer, appeared worried. We have a situation, Yuna said. She activated the display screen. Admiral Vex of the Vorath patrol fleet has made contact. He demands to speak with our chef. Everyone looked at Teeman. Me? Why? He would not explain. He said it is a matter of urgent medical importance. He wants information about what he called the recovery agent. Doyan frowned. Recovery agent? What does that mean? Yuna looked at Teeman. I believe he means your soup. The room went silent. That is ridiculous, Doyan said. It is just food? Apparently Ambassador Krell sent a report to Vorath High Command, Yuna explained. He described Pip's sudden recovery. The message went through their military intelligence network. Now Admiral Vex wants to know more. What should I tell him? Teeman asked. The truth. That it is simply comfort food with no medical properties. The meeting with Admiral Vex happened an hour later. His face appeared on the screen. He was older than Krell, with scars across his scales and a voice like grinding metal. I am Admiral Vex. You are the human healer. I am Chef Teeman. I am not a healer, Admiral. I just cook food? You created the preparation that cured Ambassador Krell's offspring. I made soup. It is a traditional human dish we eat when we feel sick. It is not medicine. Vex's eyes narrowed. Explain this soup. Teeman did his best. He described the ingredients, the preparation, the warmth. Vex listened without interrupting. Why does it work? The Admiral asked. I do not think it works because of what is in it. I think it works because someone made it with care. We call it comfort food. Define comfort. Teeman glanced at Captain Yuna. She nodded for him to continue. Comfort is a feeling. When you are sick or sad or scared, comfort makes you feel safer. For humans, warm food prepared by someone who cares about us provides comfort. It helps us feel better emotionally, which sometimes helps us feel better physically. Vex was quiet for a long moment. Voroth do not have this concept. I'm sorry to hear that, Admiral. My offspring has been experiencing stress-related illness for 2 months. Voroth medical treatment has not resolved it. The cub refuses most nutrition. Teeman understood. You want me to make soup for your child? Yes, Admiral, I am not sure it will work. Every person is different, and I do not know if I am not asking Chef Teeman. I am formally requesting this service through diplomatic channels. Captain Yuna stepped forward. We would be happy to help, Admiral. Chef Teeman will prepare a batch of soup for your offspring. After the transmission ended, Yuna turned to Teeman. Can you make enough for one more? Of course. But Captain, I still think this is strange. The soup is not magic. Maybe not to us, but to them it is something new. Something their culture does not have. Teeman made a large batch that evening. Minho, a young crew member, helped him carry the containers to the transport shuttle. They sent it to Admiral Vex's ship with careful instructions for heating and serving. 2 days later, they received a message. Admiral Vex's offspring had eaten the entire portion and asked for more. The cub's health had improved significantly. This is getting weird, Minho said when Teeman told him. It is just soup. Yeah, but apparently magic soup to the Voreth. Minho was joking, but he was not entirely wrong. Over the next week, Captain Yuna started receiving more requests. First 2 ships, then 5, then 10. All Voreth vessels. All asking for the human healing preparation. Do-Yun reviewed the medical data attached to each request. He brought his findings to Captain Yuna's office. Teeman was there too. Something is wrong with these reports, Do-Yun said. He displayed several files on the screen. This warrior claims fever and weakness, but his vital signs are normal. This one reports digestive distress, but the medical scans show nothing. This commander says his offspring has the exact same symptoms as Ambassador Krell's cub, but their biology is different enough that it should not be possible. Yuna leaned forward. What are you saying? I'm saying some of them are lying. They are inventing symptoms. Teeman laughed, then stopped when he saw their serious faces. Why would they do that? For the soup, Do-Yun said flatly. They want the soup, but Voreth culture probably does not allow them to simply ask for it. So they are pretending to be sick. That is. Teeman searched for words. Actually kind of sad. It is definitely strange, Yuna said. She looked at more reports. 47 requests now. Teeman, can you even make that much? I can try, but I will need help. And more ingredients. And I will not be able to do anything else. Bora, a junior diplomat, was assigned to help coordinate. She set up a schedule. Teeman worked 18 hours a day. Minho and 2 other crew members helped with preparation. The kitchen ran constantly. Teeman was exhausted, but something else bothered him. As he delivered batches to the transport bay, he started noticing things. The sick Voreth who came to collect the soup did not look sick. They stood straight and strong. Their eyes were alert. Some of them tried to hide extra containers under their armor. One warrior was particularly obvious. He was decorated with medals and honors. When he came to pick up his medical supplies, Teeman saw him trying to sneak 3 extra containers. Excuse me, Teeman said. Those are for other patients. The warrior froze. His scales changed color rapidly. I require additional portions. For backup treatment? The warrior looked embarrassed, which was strange to see on a Voreth face. The soup is ... effective. You are not sick, are you? The warrior said nothing for a moment. Then, quietly, no, but I wanted to try it. Why did you not just ask? Voreth warriors do not ask for such things. We do not admit to wanting ... comfort. He said the word like it was foreign to him. We saw the reports. We heard what it did for Ambassador Krell's cub. Not just the healing. The other part. The feeling. Timon felt a wave of understanding. You have never had anyone make you something just to be kind. Vorath do not do kind. We do duty, we do honor, we do not do. He gestured helplessly. What is your name? Timon asked Commander Vex. Commander Vex, you can have the extra soup, but you have to promise me something. What? When you get back to your ship, share it with someone else. Make them feel cared for. Vex looked confused but nodded. I will try. As the commander left, Sola came running. Timon, you need to see this. She brought him to the communications room. The screens showed multiple displays of Vorath ships. More were arriving every hour. The patrol fleet had grown to over 60 vessels. They are all requesting the soup, Sola said. All of them claiming various medical needs. Captain Yuna is getting concerned. This many Vorath ships in one area is making the coalition nervous. Timon looked at the screens. Somewhere out there, dozens of proud warriors were inventing fake symptoms just to get a bowl of soup. It would be funny if it was not so heartbreaking. They just want to feel cared about, he said quietly. What? Nothing? I need to make more soup. But even as he returned to the kitchen, Timon knew this could not continue. He was one person. He could not feed an entire fleet. And the Vorath were going to incredible lengths to get something. They did not know how to ask for. Something had to change that night. As Timon was cleaning up, Captain Yuna came to the kitchen. We have another situation. More ships? Worse, Grand Admiral Vex is coming. Vex? Like Commander Vex? His father. The Supreme Commander of the Vorath fleet? He is bringing his flagship and his entire battle group. Timon stopped scrubbing the pot. Why? Yuna smiled grimly. According to his message, he needs to personally investigate these medical protocols. But between you and me, he wants soup. He wants soup. The stars looked different from inside the human ship. Timon stood in the kitchen, chopping vegetables for the evening meal. He had been a chef on Earth for 15 years before joining the diplomatic corps. Now he cooked for ambassadors and aliens instead of wealthy customers. The ship was called Harmony's Dawn. Captain Yuna ran it with strict discipline but genuine care for her crew. They were carrying important passengers this week. Ambassador Krell and his family were on board. Heading to peace talks at the neutral station, Timon had never met a Vorath before this mission. They looked like large reptiles that walked on two legs. Their skin had scales that changed color slightly with their mood, though most humans could not read the subtle shifts. Krell stood nearly 7 feet tall. His eyes were sharp and cold. He spoke rarely and showed no emotion. The Vorath had a reputation across the galaxy. They were warriors. Their empire was vast and their military was feared. Other species respected them but kept their distance. Humans had only recently joined the Galactic Coalition after 50 years of staying. Isolated on Earth, this mission was important for building relationships. Krell had brought his mate and their young offspring. The cub was named Pip. Timon had smiled when he first heard the name. It seemed too soft and gentle for a Vorath. But Pip was different from his father. The young one was curious and playful. He had visited the kitchen 3 times already, asking questions about human food. Why do you heat the food? Pip had asked yesterday. It makes it taste better, Timon had explained. And it shows we care about what we eat. Pip had tilted his head in confusion. Vorath food comes from dispensers. It has all required nutrients. Does it taste good? Taste is not important. Function is important. Timon had felt sad hearing that. Food was more than fuel to humans. It was culture and love and memory. But he said nothing. Different species had different ways. Now it was the 4th day of the journey. Timon was preparing the evening meal when Hana rushed into the kitchen. She was the ship's medical officer, young but skilled. Have you seen the Vorath cub today? She asked. No, why? He is sick. Very sick. The father refuses our help. Timon put down his knife. What is wrong with Pip? Some kind of fever. Their doctor checked him, but their medicine is not working fast enough. I offered to examine him, but Ambassador Krell said no. He does not trust our medicine for his species. Can we do anything? Hannah shook her head. Not unless he allows it. Vorath biology is different from ours. I could probably help, but I need permission to even look at the cub. She left and Timon returned to his work. But his mind was not on the food. He kept thinking about Pip. The small creature had been so full of energy. Now he was suffering. That evening, Timon delivered meals to the guest quarters as usual. When he reached Krell's door, he heard a sound. It was quiet but unmistakable. Someone was crying. He knocked gently. The door opened. Krell stood there, his scales darker than normal. His face showed nothing. The evening meal, Timon said, holding out the tray. Leave it outside. But Timon heard the sound again. A weak whimper from inside the room. How is Pip? He asked. Krell's eyes narrowed. That is not your concern, human. I just wanted to check. He seemed like a good kid. He is strong. He will recover. But Krell's voice had the smallest tremor. Timon knew he should leave. He was just the chef. This was not his business. But something made him speak. My grandmother used to make me soup when I was sick as a child. Krell stared at him. What is soup? It is hot food with liquid, warm and easy to eat. It made me feel better even when medicine did not work yet. Vorath do not need such things. We have proper medical treatment. Of course. I just thought. Timon stopped. Never mind. I am sorry. I will go. He turned to leave but heard Pip cry out. The sound was painful and scared. Krell's scales flickered with colors Timon could not read. Does your soup have medicine in it? Krell asked quietly. Timon turned back. No, just food. Vegetables and protein and broth. Things that are easy on the stomach. Why would that help? I do not know if it would help Pip. I only know it helped me. It was not about the medicine. It was about... Timon searched for words. Someone caring enough to make something warm for you when you feel bad? Krell was quiet for a long moment. Vorath do not think this way. I know. I'm sorry for bothering you. Can you make this soup safe for Vorath biology? Timon was surprised. I could try. Dr. Hannah would need to tell me what ingredients are safe. Do it. But tell no one else. If this works, good. If not, it will not be discussed. Yes, Ambassador. Timon went straight to Hannah's office. She pulled up the files on Vorath nutrition. They discussed which ingredients would work. Timon took notes and asked questions. Then he went back to his kitchen. He worked for 2 hours. The soup needed to be different from what his grandmother had made. No chicken because Vorath could not process earth poultry. He used synthetic protein instead. No rice because their digestive system handled it poorly. He added minerals that Vorath needed, but he kept the warmth and the care. He tasted it again and again until it felt right. When it was done, he carried the bowl carefully to Krell's quarters. The ambassador opened the door immediately. He looked exhausted. Tam entered and saw Pip lying on a sleeping platform. The cub was covered in blankets, shaking slightly. His scales were dull and his breathing was rough. Pip, Krell said firmly. The human has brought food. Pip's eyes opened slightly. Not hungry, you must eat. No, father. Timon knelt beside the platform. He held out the bowl. Steam rose from it, carrying the gentle smell of herbs and broth. Pip's nose twitched. His eyes opened more. What is that? Soup. It is warm. It might make you feel a little better. Vorath food does not smell like that. Human food does. Would you like to try just one bite? Pip looked at his father. Krell nodded once. The cub slowly sat up. Timon held a spoon to his mouth. Pip took a tiny sip. His eyes went wide. He took another sip, then another. Before Timon could react, Pip had grabbed the bowl with both small hands and was drinking directly from it. Slowly, Timon said gently, "Your stomach needs time." Pip slowed down but finished the entire bowl. Then he lay back down. Within minutes, his breathing became steady. The shaking stopped. He fell into a deep, peaceful sleep. Krell stared at his son, then at Timon. What did you put in that? Just food? Ingredients Dr. Hana approved. Nothing else. Vorath medicine could not do this. Maybe he needed more than medicine. Maybe he needed comfort. Krell looked at Timon for a long time. What is comfort? Timon smiled sadly. It is knowing someone cares about you. It is warmth when you are cold. It is kindness when you are suffering. It is ... He gestured to Pip. This. The ambassador said nothing, but his scales shifted to a softer color. Timon thought it might be gratitude, though he could not be sure. Thank you. Chef Timon, Krell said quietly. It was the first time any Vorath had said thank you to him. The next morning, Pip's fever was completely gone. He ran through the ship's corridors like nothing had happened. Dr. Hana examined him and found him perfectly healthy. Captain Yuna called Timon to her office. What did you do? I just made soup. Ambassador Krell sent me a formal message. He called it the Human Healing Preparation. He is reporting it to Vorath High Command. Timon laughed. It was just soup, Captain. But Yuna looked serious. To them, it is something else. Something they have never experienced before. She was right. Timon did not know it yet, but everything was about to change.